the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Celtic Report, your exclusive SM Media Celtic podcast, and our first one of 2025, so happy new year to all our viewers. I'm Scott Pike. It's always a pleasure to be your host, and we're going to take a wee bit of a look back on what's kind of been happening. There's been a lot of kind of Celtic stuff happening over the past kind of month or so since we're last on, and it's quite important you always get kind of people that know their stuff when you're going to cover a lot of things here, and one of those people that I always enjoy talking with, it's a pleasure to welcome back Ryan Clifford.
How you doing, Scott? Thanks for asking us on. It's good to be the first guest of the year, so happy days. Looking forward to the chat, and hope you're well as well. Happy New Year, and hope you had a good Christmas well with the family.
Yeah, absolutely. Same to yourself, mate. Let's just get this out of the way. The league's over. The league's been over, I would say, since the 2nd of September, to be honest. Like, yes, you can look at the other side of the city and go, they're a bit of a shambles, but taking one game aside, and we'll maybe spend a few minutes on the kind of cup final and the game in the 2nd of January, but other than that, league-wise, it's been pretty faultless.
I would say Celtic in a good place now, Scott. One of the best places we've been in a long, long time. I know when Brendan Rodgers came back the first time, a good position. Ange came in, steadied the ship. Again, putting us in a position where we could build for where we are now, and Brendan's just come in and just continued that, and maybe even been better than Ange, probably to a lot of Celtic fans. So I think in terms of financial, we're really good. On the park, we're really good. At board level, we're everything right now. Celtic's probably ticking every box, and I think the icing on the cake would be to get the Scottish Cup, or even get to the playoffs, and obviously beating Young Boys would probably get us that. So I think that would be the start of a pretty successful season if we continue that.
And you mentioned obviously the Champions League. Now, I think the main the new league stage, I think, has been very beneficial to Celtic. I think it's a lot more exciting. I think it means the next two games are very intriguing, because I think there's going to be a lot of implications that, even, like with the group stage, lose 3 games, you're probably in trouble, right? I think Celtic had a remarkable campaign, like from where they've been, like a few big results, especially in like Atalanta and a couple of games at home, Leipzig, but that's kind of all Celtic need to worry about now. Like, the league's done. Like, the League Cup, obviously, the final was interesting because I don't think Celtic played well, still got over the line.
Mm-hmm.
And the Scottish Cup, you'd imagine, just do what they're doing, they probably win it again. Like, it seems pretty flawless. And again, you mentioned, obviously, Brendan. One thing I will say, the squad depth's there. Now, we're recording this just after the Ross County game, where there was about half the team was injured, especially in the wing position. But you see, like, some McCowan can come in and do a job. Like, the rotation at kind of right backs, left back looks pretty solid. The strikers are rotating a lot. The squad looks a lot better than it was this time kind of last year.
Well, the squad's definitely get better in terms of depth. I think we still can tweak bits and bobs of the depth. Maybe like right back position. Ralston, he's okay. He can come in for Scotland, but I think the European side next year, I think that's somewhere we would probably like to look at. Well, me anyway, as a fan, and some people I know. Obviously, Brendan's the main man. He'll decide if he thinks Ralston's able to be the understudy. No, that's disrespectful, but not understudy. But the second choice, obviously, Alistair Johnson, who has been fantastic this season. I know he had a bit of injury last season. They came into pre-season and it was a wee bit stuffy, but whatever Brendan's done to him this year, he's balling forward like a typical old school fullback. He's getting balls in the box, and that was probably only a lot of people thought like he was better than Juranovic. For me, I love Juranovic. I thought he was fantastic, and when we lost him, I was like, okay, right, Johnson's good here, but he's definitely developed into a really top draw right back, in my opinion, league wise and for the European stage as well. So he's what was holding me back with saying he was better or any comparison was getting to the byline, getting in the box, and now he's doing that. So to a lot of Celtic fans, JJ's away at the pitch on now. He was brilliant when he was here, but I think you've got a real top egg in Alistair Johnson. So squad depth, maybe a few wee tweaks, but overall, like we said at the weekend there, against Ross County, stuffy game to start off with, cold, not the best parks. It's quite old school stadium as well, so you could have thinking that could have been a wee bananas skin for Celtic with a few players injured, but or suspended as well and stuff like that. But overall, it's one of the ones where you go up and get the result. But I think overall, in terms of the last 10-15 minutes, it was quite convincing. Obviously, the missed penalty as well, but obviously it's retaken with Engels. But overall, I think it's a Celtic fan base. We've got no complaints right now.
You mentioned obviously Johnson's been really impressive in that right side. We can't obviously no mention Kuhn. Like I think we did a pod maybe kind of March time last year, and we were like, Kuhn will come good. We were just thinking it'll take a wee bit of time. For that to now, what's been the most impressive thing about Kuhn since the turn of the season?
He just looks like a right good winger. A lot of fans are really starting to not forget Jota, but Jota's not really on your lips anymore because he's kind of just come in and just took over that mantle. He's replaced his goals. I think he's got the same goals or just about one more goal than Jota got a full season. I think, if memory serves me right, going about that. So he's just one of the players where even when he gets the ball now, you're thinking, right, go and do something. You know he's going to do something, and he's sharp. He's intelligent. He's scoring goals now. He's assisting. He's even tracking back now, which he wasn't when he first came in. So I think Brendan's obviously developed him. But I know he was at Ajax and Bayern Munich for his youth as well. He played. So you don't come through the youth ranks or play with the teams if you've not got something. And sometimes it just takes a wee tweak or a manager or somebody believe in you, and it looks like £3 million. I think roughly we got him for. I don't think they'll be selling for that. I think it'll be at least treble or maybe four for that. So it's looking a really good bit of business by Celtic.
And I think the one thing is as well is like obviously there's talk, you hear things all the time. We hear like, oh, this team's interesting. That I don't think there's a rush. Like I think the player's like happy with his performance. I think the player's quite happy where he is. And we mentioned as well the chemistry that him and Johnson have on the right hand side. I think is absolutely tremendous. Like I think it's one of the most positive things about Celtic at the moment is just how well they link up on the right.
Yeah, it's massive, and a lot of goals came through that side as
Yeah.
well. And the two of them are very quick because he can rely on Johnson to defend, so he can what I would call cheat. He would go forward a lot more. He can stay there because he knows he's got Johnson there to cover him. So I just think it's one of the best sides we've had in a long time in terms of that side. I know we had Lustig and stuff, and we've obviously had guys like that in the past, but I think now with Johnson and Kuhn, it's a pretty good match. I would say they're in tune with each other, and you can see that they're always talking and they're always engaging. So in terms of, obviously, I know there was rumours, or there was a wee link the other day, last week, the paper about couldn't get a new deal. I've not heard anything from that. There's been nothing else, but I'd imagine Celtic will try to tie him down because there will be suitors in the summer, probably, if he continues this being a form. But like you said there, Scott, I don't think he'd been in any rush unless it was like Jota money he was getting thrown at. If it was 30 odd million or 25 million with massive wages, even then he's still got to think about it now. He's playing underneath, in my opinion, a top manager. Probably he is, in my opinion, he's a Premier League manager. They could manage a lot of top teams in the world. So for me, he's got that. He's got 60,000 every week. I know we'll get the qualifiers, I think, in the summer, but you're I don't want to say guarantee silverware, but you're guaranteed every year fighting for trophies at the business end. And so Nicholas is my Wednesday, you go in now and maybe do what Jota done, and your stops a wee bit, or do you continue where you are for another season or two, and then maybe go and get a fantastic move? And I think us as a fan base, if you give us 2 or 3 brilliant years and you win trophies and you maybe help in Europe and you go and get a big fee, I don't think any fan can really argue with that. So, no, I think you're right there, Scott. I don't think any player would be in us at Celtic at the moment. I know there's chat about Greg Taylor's contract, but I think overall, if I was a Celtic player right now, I don't think I'd be in any rush to leave, considering the manager and the way we are in the league and domestic cups and obviously Europe as well.
Let's touch on Greg Taylor later because I think it maybe links into another thing that we'll touch on, but I do have to bring up the game against Rangers in the second. I thought Celtic were very sloppy in the cup final in terms of their possession. I think that was a large part. I thought Rangers' pressing was very good to be fair, but I think Celtic were needlessly sloppy in possession. And I thought the same thing in the second. I thought Celtic's ball retention was atrocious, and we saw that as well. Scales, I think, had a bad day. I think Hatate was off it. I think Hatate's hardly really been on it most times this season. We'll maybe touch on him in a minute. But do you think it was a case that Celtic maybe just didn't cope with the situation? Like they maybe just didn't learn for how because Rangers, we've seen Rangers' faults this season has been in the other games, but their pressing against Celtic was pretty good in the final, and they were coming out again pretty fast. And I just don't think Celtic handled it. And I think there was a lot of players for Celtic who were off it in the second, and I think that led to the result.
I think I says that I've come out myself and says there was no excuses for Celtic. Rangers were a better team. I don't want people to think, oh, you're Celtic, you're biased, but I thought Rangers were good. I didn't think they were brilliant. I thought they were good. I thought most of their goals came through mistakes, especially with Liam Scales, the first one.
Yeah.
This is one thing I've got with kind of modern football now. There's this always want to play for the back and through the middle, and if it's not on, just put it in Rose head or down the channel, because obviously Scales under instructions to play it into McGregor or play it into Bernardo and then play through. But if he just plays that down the line down to Kyogo or just even out wide, that's maybe not going to happen. So I think it's just under man's instructions. But you've got to give the team credit, Rangers. Let's be fair, on paper, I was really expecting Celtic to go and put a performance in. I'm not going to say 1-6-7-0, but I was expecting a 3-4-0 job. I was, and that's me being honest. And sometimes you need to take humble pie and admit you were wrong, but you can only look at what you see on what's in front of you. And I just didn't see how Celtic lose the game. But you've got to give credit to Rangers. They pressed really well. They get into positions where they could hurt us, especially targeting Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. For me, again, I'm not Brendan Rodgers. I'm not going to tell the manager what to do because he's unbelievable. But anytime Celtic play Liam Scales and Greg Taylor, they always get targeted. That's what every team goes to. And that's what I said before the game and it happened. But I can't really criticise the team, Scott. It's one of the games. I think if that game is played like next week, I don't think it. No, I think if the league was closer, if it was like 3 points in it or it was level pegging, that's not a Celtic team that turns up like that. I don't want to say it was complacency, but a wee bit of me thinks it was a bit of that.
I think there was that to a degree, yeah.
I think it was we'll just turn up here, we'll do what we can. They're under stress, they're under pressure at every level. We'll just try and turn them over. And I kind of thought I thought it was 1 each with the offside goal. I thought if we get that, that's us. We're going to win the game now because it was a fantastic goal. Just unlucky, it was a wee bit too quick. But you've got to give credit to Rangers for the game. I thought tactically they were actually pretty decent. They stopped our players playing. They knew to go to Scales and Taylor. Liam Scales gave the ball away, going that. So they kind of worked out where our weaknesses were. But I don't have any complaints, Scott. I agree with you. I don't think we were at it. Was that because Rangers stopped us? Possibly. But I didn't think Rangers were anywhere near like, wow, this is brilliant. I think it's now because of how bad they've been, and then they turned that performance up, and then I go, wow, 3-0, that's some scoreline. So, but no, there's no excuses for me, mate. I really did think we were really poor though. I don't mind getting beat, but I didn't like the performance. The performance really, really annoyed me. I can handle getting beat with good goals or good passes of play, but when you don't work hard, when somebody's working harder than you, challenging better than you, fighting for you more, that's what I didn't like. But again, Arnie Engels was obviously not playing as well, so was your team full on people who had a bias as well? Because they all looked lethargic, they all looked lack of energy. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but if Engels wasn't well, I can guarantee there were 2 or 3 other guys under the weather because they're all a tight knit group. So, but take away any of that because people probably say, "Oh, Ryan, that's excuses," and it probably is. But overall, Scott, it wasn't a great performance, and you've got to say to Rangers fair play. They got a fantastic victory, but it kind of meant nothing when they went and dropped points against Hibs. So, but nah, I think it was a pretty good victory for them, Scott, and I must admit, probably in that game, they did tactical classes, and you've got to hold your hand up and say fair play.
And that's the thing, you mentioned that they are Rangers having built on it. Celtic, you would think, oh, maybe that would dent them to a degree, but it really hasn't. Like St Mirren, they were comfortable. Dundee United in midweek, they were comfortable as well. And then obviously yesterday, yesterday was a bit of a freak game. Like the pitch was atrocious, conditions weren't good. Celtic were quite kind of hamstrung with the squad, but they've built on it. One player you did mention that I wanted to touch on, who I've spoken to a few Celtic fans recently, and they're like, Arnie Ingles is beginning to turn it on, but they were also saying a couple of months ago he's not really looking at an £11 million player. How many players have we seen that take a bit of time to gel? He's beginning to look the part now, isn't he?
I think it was after his second or third game, and I was raving about it on our own podcast. I was raving to everybody like, this guy's really good. You can just see when somebody's got something. It might take a bit of time, but his distribution is phenomenal. His crossing ability. He's so calm on the ball. His technique is brilliant. I watched him. I was at the game the other day against who were we playing? That's right, mad it with my memory. Who did we beat? United. And I watched him for like 10 minutes, and it's that old school word that John Collins says, scanning. He was always looking behind him, at the side of him. I thought he was head and shoulders the best player apart of United, and I think he's getting used to obviously surroundings, used to his players, used to the magnitude of the club, because the team he played for in Germany, they aren't Celtic.
No.
It's still a fantastic league, but Augsburg and the Celtic, they're leaving Rangers, but they're no in terms of stature and capacity and club-wise. So it's on you for him as well, and the amount of games he's having to play as well. So he's going to get fitter as well. But I think he's brilliant, Scott. And I said as soon as he signed after 2 or 3 games that you don't really want to think about it. But I think it's just the mentality when you go to Celtic Rangers after maybe a year, 2 year, maximum 3, you're going to go. And I'm right away. He's going to get us a profit. He's going to come. He's going to be brilliant. He's going to go for your 20s, your 30s, whatever it is, because I do believe he'll especially in Europe as well. If he starts playing better in Europe, I think he's just going to get even more people looking at him. But no, I think he's brilliant, Scott. And I've said to a lot of people now, just sometimes you need to rein in sometimes and don't criticise too early, because you can't judge somebody after 3 games. It's just impossible. So no, I don't know what you feel for obviously a neutral perspective, but for me, I think he's brilliant and he's only going to get better every game.
And that's the thing it is as well, that patience that you need with a player like that. Like, yes, it's £11 million and people are thinking, right, he's got to hit the ground running straight away. But you mentioned as well, it's a different environment. And what age? He's only 21, 22. He's no...
I think he's only 21. I think
like,
so.
It's a hard thing to come in and do and hit the ground running straight away. He's a Belgian international. The one thing that impresses me about him is his delivery. I think his delivery is very, very impressive. Like, yes, penalties as well. Like, Celtic would struggle for a penalty taker. He comes in. That's going to add a lot of confidence to him as well.
Yeah.
Like, getting them. Like, the thing I'm interested to get your thoughts on is, like, what's the best midfield at the moment? Because there's 5 starting options. I think I've mentioned Hattati a couple of times. I think he's been miles off it. I thought this season was going to be. Remember, we were doing a Player of the Year predictions at the start, and I was like, Hattati could have a monster season and move on. And it's just not been the case. Bernardo's been very, very good most of the time, but I thought at the Rangers game he was pretty poor.
Yeah.
Like, McCowan's come in and been excellent. McGregor's obviously McGregor. You've got 5 players there for like 3 positions, but I think at the moment McGregor and Engels are pretty much irreplaceable to me.
I would agree with you, Scott. I think Engels, obviously McGregor's always going to play. 1, he's a captain, and 2, he is a really top operator, so he's always going to be playing bar injury. Engels, for me, stamped his authority to the team now, unless he's getting a wee rest, maybe in St. Tuesday against Dundee, or killing the cup game on Saturday. Apart from that, I don't think it's because he's not playing well. It's just to give him a rest, because he's been different class. So I think he's 3 out of 4 man of matches the last few games. So I'm a big fan of Bernardo. I like him a lot. I think he's very technical. He's very good. He's got a bit of the what I call the dirty side of football. He's got that in him as well. The nastiness that Celtic have no. I'm not saying he goes and halves people and stuff, but the nastiness, the wee dirty side that I don't think Celtic have got much of. I think Celtic are too nice. I've always said that. I think we're needing. I know they're a dying breed, but see, like a Wanyama type player, a Scott Brown. I'm not saying anybody best of players, but just to ruffle up a few feathers, I don't think we've got that. So it's McKibben's done well, but I still feel there's still levels, and I still feel McKibben's not up to their levels just yet. I think he could be. Give him more time at Celtic, 6 months, a year time in with this team. He's a very good player, but I still think the other 4 are ahead of him. So it's got to be between Bernardo and Hattati. Hattati, right enough, when he's on it, he's starting to get to the Olivier and Cham mould. When the Cham was on it, he was unbelievable. But when he wasn't on it, he better have sitting on the bench. And that's something like Hatate. His ball retention's not been great this year, and that's one thing I think why he won't play all the time under Rodgers, because he did mention it, I'm sure it was last year or the start of this season, he's got to keep the ball better. He's got to keep, and Rodgers all about possession based and attacking based, and if he's not keeping the ball, he's not going to win Rodgers' team. So it wouldn't surprise me in the summer if there's a wee, is he staying, is he going? Because I know some players have had cycles as well. Is his cycle finished? I hope not, because he's brilliant, but eventually some players will move on. So if they're all on it, if every player was 10 out of 10, I think Hatate's playing with Engels and McGregor, but I don't think Hatate came in there right now because he's not on it. He's really in and out. So I think Rodgers likes McKibben. I think he likes him, but I'm going to go with Bernardo. Bernardo, Engels, and McGregor. If I was to pick right now, who would that be my three? But if they're on it and every player's booming, they're all fully fit, healthy, and I would probably say it's Hatate that goes with Engels and McGregor.
Yeah, I think it's very, very interesting how they line up against Young Boys, because I think McGregor and Engels will start and then maybe put in Bernardo, but again, Hatate's the sort of player you would want in that game.
Mhm.
It's good to have options though. If you'd read the MLS website on Wednesday morning though, you'd have maybe would have thought that Kyogo was gone. Like I remember getting a message. I've got a friend in America who texted saying, "Is Celtic striker going?" I was like, "Not heard anything." And usually you hear with that. The only time I've actually been out the blue was Kyogo signing. Like
Yeah.
that came from nowhere. There has been links with Kyogo. There has been talk. There has been slight discussion. I don't think he'll leave now, but I think the summer is the time. Like he's been a tremendous, tremendous buy. I think for what, £3.5 million, he's been such a brilliant bit of business. But I still think he's maybe not the Brendan Rodgers mould, and for that reason, I'm like, we saw at the weekend his movement is second to none. But is it maybe just a case of this is maybe the last time to maybe get a bit of money back on him?
Possibly. Obviously, he's got to think about himself as well, because I'm sure he's coming up for 30 as well.
Yeah.
So he might want to go back home, or he might want a big move abroad. I don't know, but I'm sure Atlanta now are trying to get somebody from Middlesbrough.
Yeah,
The
like 30,
Stickers.
I think 13
Yeah.
million or something.
So if that's the case, then he's definitely not going, because I'm sure as well. Oh, you might know more than me, Scott, but I know with MLS, you only allowed certain marquee players and
Yeah,
stuff, aren't they? So I don't think he would, unless he wouldn't be classed as that, but I think he would be.
it's the sort of that's the sort of thing I could see happening with him though.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he could go Premier League or something like that, but I can see him making that move,
Mhm.
sort of in the kind of Giacomakis mould. Like I don't see him going and playing for like a Brentford or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the sort of league I could see him thriving in.
I like him. I think he's top, man.
Oh yeah.
His movement's phenomenal.
Mhm.
His movement's unbelievable, and I think he's been getting a wee bit disrespected this season with some of the fan base, and you see some things on social media, and I'm thinking you don't realise how good this guy is.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. He's really that good. His touch, his finishing. I played up front myself. I miss chances. Every striker miss chances. It happens, but at the weekend, yeah, that's just how vital he is to Celtic. His movement, his finishing ability, his link up play, and bear in mind the park's terrible as well, and
Yeah.
he's still playing like that. So for me, he's still Celtic's best striker with an absolute shadow of doubt. For me, I'm not going to be disrespectful to Admira, because he's just come in back to the club, and he's playing. He's trying to get back into the team, and he's trying to game time, but in my opinion, there's no debate between the two of them.
Well, that's the thing I was going to ask you, right?
Mhm.
Let's say, for example, there is a move in January, right? I very much doubt there will be.
Yeah.
I would imagine Celtic would bring somebody in. But as I know he does cost a lot of money, and we get that, and there's probably reasons for that at the
Mhm.
time. I think Rodgers wanted him, and the money was there to pay. But I don't think a lot of Celtic fans would be overly happy at this point in time if they were to go, right, Adam, he does a number one striker. Like, I'm not saying it's not something
Yeah.
long term,
Mhm.
but I think right now, I don't know if he's in that mould yet.
I think maybe because of the way we are in the league and potentially Europe, I think you maybe need to buy somebody for Europe just to go with Adam Idah, but I think in Scotland you would like to think he would be okay. You can rely on him. Me personally, I was a wee bit in between about signing him longer term. I know he done well in his first spell on loan, and let's be fair, he probably did win his cups in the league with his goals. But it's his overall play, I think he's going to be better. Maybe I'm basing that on the fee, I don't know, probably am. But I'm expecting, if you're signing something like £10 million, in my opinion, it shouldn't really matter their age. You'd expect them to be scoring maybe at least every second game or so. At least getting 18 to 20 goals a season. You'd expect them to be really, really top, playing most weeks. But the way Celtic play, it's between him and Kyogo. Kyogo plays one or two, he plays one or two. So to give Adam Idah a bit of credit as well, a bit of kind of credit in terms of it's very hard to maybe only play 2 games, commit for free, play two. It's hard to get a kind of rhythm. So I'm willing to give him more time, Scott, at the end of the season and maybe the start of next year, to see how he develops and how Rodgers can help him and how he obviously gets used to playing here longer term. But it's one of the ones I think you need somebody else with him. Right now, I don't think he would be my main choice. Some fans might think different. I've absolutely I've no qualms about Adam Idah been here. I think he's a talented player. He's got a lot of attributes, but I think on what he's shown this year, if I asked every Celtic fan right now if his loan spell ended in December, would you take him? No. But his loan spell ended in the summer, so he's showed you what he can do. So hopefully next 6 months he can continue that progress that he showed last year.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like he's often you'll see that substitution around about the kind of 65-minute mark. He'll go for Idah, or vice versa. If they're both on. Yesterday, what did you think of them yesterday together?
I actually liked it. The two of them linked up pretty well in certain aspects of the game. I'm a massive fan of the old school 4-4-2. I don't like this the way Guardiola's basically put in football and every team's playing 4-3-3. I just like the big man, wee man, 4-4-2. Get up to the wee man and the big man. They'll deal with it. Like Sutton and Larson, Hartson and Sutton, Hartson and Larson. They type of things. You test the link McDonald as well. That sort of kind of link up and. Especially, I don't want to be complacent with the league and I don't want to just experiment with things, but I don't see why Celtic can't play 4-4-2 at Celtic Park and just. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think you would win a few goals, a lot of games with the two up front, as long as you feed them. But I think Rodgers has changed his style of play. I don't think Adam Idah and Kyogo's getting as much service through the wingers this season, and I think that's because they're not getting a lot of numbers. Is because of that. I don't think it's because they're bad players or missing a lot of chances. I just don't think they're getting as much service, and that's just the way Celtic are playing. It's just the way they're playing. They're playing for the middle with McGregor, and that's just the way it is. I feel, Scott.
Yeah, let's before we get into kind of talk about January and obviously like the kind of potential incomings and a few outgoings that are very, very likely. We've already seen Stephen Welsh is going out on loan. No surprise. I think it's just probably the best move for him at the moment. A few players that probably go out, whether it's in loan, maybe even permanently. Palmer, Home, Navrojki, just probably haven't worked out.
I was actually looking forward to the Rosy when he signed. I done a wee bit of digging and research, and obviously anybody can look good on YouTube clips and stuff. But I think Liga Warsaw finished second in the Polish league, which is it's not the best of leagues, but he finished second. Obviously, defensively, he must have been okay. He looked quite strong and physical, and I'm thinking this guy looks a bit what we kind of need. He's obviously, I don't think he's ever, maybe a part of it, he was a Sligo Rovers friendly when he was really poor. Apart from that, I don't think he's really been bad. I don't think he's been brilliant either.
I just think it's a total case. The manager just doesn't fancy him for whatever reason.
Possibly. I think you could be right, Scott. I just think, obviously, he sees him every day in training and maybe he's no fizz going off for us. Maybe he's not good enough. But maybe he could go back to Poland or go abroad and he could flourish. Who knows? It just might be the pressure of this club, a young age, and just maybe no going to fit here. So Palmer, I thought even his numbers last year were a bit deceiving. I'm not a big fan of him. I think I don't want to be disrespectful, but he seems a bit lazy. He doesn't really track back a lot. He's more focused on forward play, which is good. But when you get to forward play, you need to make sure you're doing things with it. And I just think I don't know if it's the pressure in the club or he's just no suited to here. But this year it's not worked for him. Yang as well. I'm not a fan of Yang. I've been wanting to give him time, but I know some fans say that he's got something, but I don't think it's for Celtic. Don't get me wrong, he did do well against Ross County. It's probably his best performance in a long time. But I think if we want to, the level that we want to strive for every season and trophies and European football, I think you're probably looking at better than Jan, personally. But I think you'll probably keep him to the end of the season because obviously before he's getting injured and stuff as well. So I think Jan will probably be here to the summer, then we'll see about him. But I think Rosy and I think Palmer's maybe going to Spain, I think.
Yeah, I think home as well. There's talk
Yeah,
of
America.
Yeah, he's just. He's a tidy player. I just, again, like you see, there's 5 players in front of him. I don't think he's getting any better, and
Yeah.
I think it's maybe just time to kind of move on. But we'll bring up the left back situation now. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Greg Taylor's contract, and I think, what did you make of Rodgers when he came out and basically laid into the fans about the Kieran Tierney thing? Now we'll get in Kieran Tierney in a minute, but the Taylor thing is obviously interesting because, yes, his contract's up. He's free to speak to other clubs. I haven't heard anything to say that he's not at Celtic at least until the end of the season, but also haven't heard anything to say he's close to signing a new deal. So it's very much in limbo at the moment.
Well, anybody who listens to the podcast or knows me personally, I'm not Greg Taylor's biggest fan, never have been. But you've got to respect what he's done at Celtic, considering where he came from for Kilmarnock. He's developed into a pretty solid player at Celtic, 200 games at the club, trebles, European performances, group stage performances, trophies, played in big games. So, and every manager's picked him. But the way I see it, every manager's been trying to place him. Out with Bernabei, Bolingoli, they've tried to sign players to come in competition. And fair play to Greg, he's been better than the guys have signed. Even for me personally, I think Alex Valle is a better player. I think Valle is brilliant. I think he's technically very good. He's better at 1v1s, but Greg Taylor's good at the inverted role. So he's got that on Valle, do you know what I mean? But I think just when some Celtic players as well, when they go to Europe, sometimes they maybe get exposed. And I think Taylor's one of them. But he's not just the one, like the manager says, previous players have came to Celtic in Europe have done nothing. But you've got to respect Greg Taylor. If he signs, I'm happy to sign. But if we do, obviously, we'll speak to it. If we do sign Kieran Tierney, if that's the case, what reports are signing, it's maybe got a pre-contract, then they might talk about a loan move. I don't know. But he's got to be the first choice. There's no doubt about it. Yes, they might rotate here and there, but is Greg Taylor going to be second choice at Celtic? I don't know. I wouldn't think so because he's used to playing every week. Do you really want to be sitting on the bench and don't really getting a lot of game time? I don't know. I think it will just depend, Scotland. Obviously, I know now he's got a baby as well and he's married, so he's got to think about that side of his career as well. Does he want to go elsewhere, a new culture, maybe more money and stuff like that? So I just feel that for Celtic to move forward and keep progressing, I think you would need somebody just a bit better than Greg Taylor or like Kieran Tierney. But if Taylor's your second choice, I think you're fine. I think you've got a good steady Eddie left back yet to come in. He can play in Europe, but if you've got Tierney there, then I don't think any Celtic fan would argue about it. That'd be a decent two.
The Kieran Tierney thing, obviously, now I'm going to contradict myself to a degree here, and I think any realistic Celtic fan will have the same argument that I'm going to present here. The romantic side of it is Celtic legend. Yes, absolutely no-brainer to get him back, especially when you consider selling him for 25 million quid and you're able to get him back potentially for nothing. Makes a lot of sense. However, it's very much against the Celtic train of thought to go and get somebody to be a starter who's had that many injury problems. What's the happy medium here?
For me, it's worth a gamble. I think he's that good a player. I think he's. I'm going to probably say I'm a bit of a fanboy of him. I think he's world class. I think he's that good. I think injuries have just stopped him being that level. Because I know when he first went to went to Arsenal, well, I know you believe it, I know you believe paper talk. There was talk of him going to Madrid when he was it's a year or two at Arsenal. So whether they were true or no, I don't know. I'm not on the Arsenal board him. I can't say, but for me, Kieran Tierney's that good that he's worth the gamble. If you call it a gamble, that is because if it's a pre-contract, then he'll be getting a decent wage, but you're not having to fork out £25 million. You're not having to fork out a fee. So if you have your Greg Taylor, or if it's Valley stays, or whoever it is that's there, if you've got somebody else to be there, then you can manage him if need be. I know that might sound silly, manage him, but if it means that he plays 60 minutes and you take him off, then so be it. He's still on the bench with Arsenal. He's obviously fully fit because
He
he
came
played.
on today.
He came on today, so he's
Man United.
obviously fit to play. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I don't think we need him right now. I think the summer would be the perfect chance to
Yeah.
get a pre-season, get more fitness, get more game time, obviously pre-season with Celtic, get back into 11 here, and then go for there. I don't think we need him right now. But if he comes, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. If he comes on loan at the end of the season, but for me, I can get why fans are really undecided by it because of the injuries. I get it, but I just think it's a no-brainer for me. I get the injury process, but he could come here and no injured again. So look at Carter Vickers. He was in and out injured in the last few months. He's been brilliant. He's been flying. So who knows? But for me, Scott, I don't know what a lot of Celtic fans do think. Because some are like you, they're happy medium. They don't know. But for me, I think he's top door, and he makes Celtic even better because nobody else in Scotland can sign that quality. Could we sign that quality with transfer fees?
That's the
Probably
thing.
not.
That's the thing. Like, if you were to say, if it was like what you were getting back for 10 million, I'd be like, nah, I wouldn't do that.
Mm.
You're potentially not going to pay anything. And I think one thing is that I think he kind of wants to come back. I think he knows, like, he's probably. I think he's very, very like different to a lot of modern players, where he's not
Mm.
like focused. And I think he would
Yeah.
retire at Celtic if he could. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I don't think money's an objective. It clearly isn't. Otherwise, I don't think Celtic would
Yeah.
give him a shot of him. He's probably wanting to just get back to being happy. And I'm
I
not
think.
saying he was bad. I'm
Yeah.
not saying his time at
Mhm.
Arsenal was bad. It's just obviously been kind of bad with injuries. But yes, I mean, obviously, I can see the side of it where it's like the romantic side of it, absolutely. And I think one thing about him as well, the manager absolutely adores him,
Mhm.
which is the big
Aye.
thing, I think.
Mhm. Obviously, you mentioned as well about his presser. I thought he was wrong, and a lot of what he said. I get what he was doing. He was backing his team. I think he was a wee bit annoyed for maybe the outcry of the kind of the aftermath of the fans at the Derby defeat, and then that's went on to the weekend because the first 20 minutes wasn't he brilliant. He's heard a few groans
Mhm.
and thought, right, I don't like this. Um, some of the football the last few weeks hasn't been great. Some of it has been pretty slow, but you're still getting performances. You're still winning games. The second half, it seems to be picking up as well when the subs come on. And I thought that was a decent performance against Ross County. Some of the football on that park, the conditions was really good. So I wasn't. I didn't. I think he was just trying to back Greg Taylor. I think he was. I don't know if it's to keep him here or it was just to show respect to Greg Taylor. But I don't think the fans were meaning to be disrespectful.
Nah.
I can understand why he might have thought that, but I just think he was just trying to back up his player and his team. And look, I can get that, but I didn't like some of the words he was using. I thought it was a wee bit patronising to the fans. But I was glad that he came back out and kind of retracted it a wee bit. And I think now a wee bit time to settle down and go, right, okay. I did mean what I wanted to say, but maybe not
Mhm.
in the words. But he's got every right to come out and say what he wants. He's a manager. His opinion's more credible than mine because of who he is. He's got an opinion as well. If he feels that the fans are maybe groaning or there's things outside of the club that he feels he's got to say, then he's got to say. He's got an opinion as well. So is me and you, like any other Celtic fan or Rangers fan, Aberdeen, whatever club you support, you've got an opinion. So is a manager. So, but no, I didn't like it, but I understood what he was trying to do by saying certain things.
And obviously, I think the Tierney and Taylor stuff will probably kind of linger on for a while. But Celtic have been linked with one player now. I have kind of tried to do a wee bit of kind of scouting as such. I don't think it's a coincidence that Celtic are beginning to look for wingers when half the wingers are either injured or
Mhm.
are not available at the moment. The one name that is coming up is, I'm going to try my best to pronounce this, Sondre Orjaseter,
Mhm.
who is obviously in Norwegian under-21 international. I've tried to look a wee bit about him. Looks to be kind of 5'11" winger. Maybe know the kind of stats that you want in terms of goal scorer, but I think obviously that Norwegian market is obviously something I would be looking at all the time. it's certainly a position I think Celtic need depth in. But
Yeah,
it's probably the one area you would say, I think I'm with you in Yang. I don't think he's ever going to get any better. And I think Celtic need better quality in that area as backup. And
aye.
this could be a good opportunity. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
again, with the thing is, you're going on, as you say, you're going on YouTube videos, you're going in word of mouth. But I think it's a big situation that Celtic are obviously looking for that type of winger.
Mm-hmm. I think they're quoting now 7 to 8 million pound as well. So Celtic have. I did hear that name around about December time.
I've heard it.
Aye, it was around about December time that name was kind of to us, and I've all right. I've just been told to keep an eye on it, so I kept an eye on it, and now it's popped up again. So it's obviously they've been looking at him. Whether or not he's going to sign on January or no, but I think a winger will come in this month, either a loan or it is a big money signing. But I think if Celtic pay that money for him, he's coming in to try and really play, because I don't think us as a club can really afford to pay big money, and every signing can be a gamble. I get that, but if they're coming for big money like £7 million, he's coming to really be competition to Maeda, Kuhn, and to a certain degree James Forrest. But he's coming in to be part of the four to really go on all fronts. So again, similar to you, I've done wee small bits of digging, but I think until I know he's signing, I'll do more on him. But it looks quite technical, quite tricky. I've seen like some of his heat maps and stuff, and he's very attacking. He looks to be quite kind of what you would call maybe a typical Celtic winger, just all going to attack. I think he's done okay in that league this year as well. So I can't comment too much on him, Scott, but he looks like, again, by clips and stuff, he looks like a typical winger that Celtic would maybe want to look at. Obviously, his name's just cropped up again, so I think you could be right. I think a winger could be coming in, and I think if a one does come in, then you probably imagine it'd be him and Forrest and Yang would be there just to be a backup. But again, I really hope Yang proves me wrong. I really hope in 6 months' time, a year time, he's brilliant and he's in the team every week. I really hope so, because I don't want any Celtic player to fail. But I've just seen enough. He's been here 18 months now, and I don't see how he what I've been maybe called sprout wings to really get to the levels of Nicholas Kuhn and Maeda. But I hope he does. But I think a winger's probably a priority in January.
Any other positions you think are priorities in January?
Right now, I think you'd be fine with Kyle and Ida if the two of them stay. Midfield, I think you're fine. I think you're in the middle of the park. You're pretty overloaded in midfield. With Trusty, you're fine with Vickers. Scales is okay to come in as well. Scales can play in Scotland. So if Taylor stays, I think apart from that, maybe a winger, you could maybe get another striker, depending if he likes Johnny Kenny or no. I don't know how he rates him. It's
Thought
maybe
it looked
somebody else.
okay when I think it looked okay.
Yeah, it did look okay, to be fair. So it's down to Johnny Kenny now to come in and maybe show Brendan that he's got something. So maybe another striker and a winger, but I think a winger's probably the priority for me, because James Forrest is getting older. He still can contribute, but again, he's injured again. Will he come back the same James Forrest, or will he come back as fit as he was before he got injured? So it's one of the ones. I think winger Scott's probably the most priority. Maybe another striker depending on the Johnny Kenny situation, but I would say that's probably two you would look at as priorities, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's more going to be outgoings than outgoings and incomings. I think there'll be a few kind of deadwood could maybe be out the door. We'll go into Tuesday night, obviously against Dundee. I don't know what the position's like to do a bit of squad rotation. I would imagine McKeown comes in. Do we see any? Do we maybe see a start for Johnny Kenny? Like it's going to be interesting what he does here.
He's definitely put himself to at least on the bench anyway. I don't want us to be complacent and tinker too much, but you've got the luxury to maybe take Vickers out and play Scales, or put Taylor back in for Vi, or play Dawson for Johnson, or play Kenny up front with Kyle Gorida. You've got a bit of license here to do that, because you've still got quality off the bench. So just say, like you said there, Scott, you put in Kenny for, just say you played him up front with Ida or Kyogo, you've got one of them on the bench if it doesn't happen. So you've got a lot of squad depth, like we said at the start of the show. So I think he'll try and maybe keep the majority of the same team. He might put in McKibben, and maybe Giengo's a rest, or maybe put a Tati on the bench. I don't know, but I think whoever he plays, you're pretty confident. I know Dundee done well against against Rangers, but I think Celtic are a different animal. Celtic have got the mentality right now is just turn up and win, turn up and win. So I think Dundee will probably try and do the same. I think they'll try and press Celtic. They'll try and obviously get real weak spots. But I think if Celtic turn up, Scott, I think any game in Scotland, again, I don't want to be disrespectful, but if Celtic turn up to maybe 80% of what they can, I think they'll win pretty comfortably on the day if they turn up. But Celtic sometimes, as we've seen at Ibrox, can't turn up, and sometimes these results happen. So Dundee will be hoping Celtic can falter and Tony Dock can get his tactics put on it there against Rangers. So you'd imagine Celtic will turn up and win, but they've still got to do it on the park. But might make a few changes, but I'd imagine, depending on if Nicholas Kuhn and Maeda's, if they're fit, then he might go to the free again. If he did, I think it'd be Retu and Kyogo. I don't think Kyogo can get dropped now. I think he's got to be the main man until if he falters or doesn't score in a few games. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good game. I think Dundee will make it a good game as well. 'Cause I think they'll try and get it. I don't think they'll park the bus if you want to call it like that. So I'm actually looking forward to it.
Before we kind of wrap up, Ryan, obviously we'll touch on the two Champions League games that are coming up in January. Now, sitting 21st in that league table, I've heard that the Holy Grail's 9 points. They're at 9 points just now, but like PSG and Stuttgart are the only two teams I can see getting into that 24. You'd imagine though, just for safety, you'd want at least a positive result in one of the two games.
I think as much as it's not going to be a gimme, I know Young Boys haven't been good. I can't remember where they are in the league, if they're still going for any cups or anything. I don't know if they would feel a strong team because I can't remember where they are in the league, if they're still going for the league title or anything. I don't know.
Young Boys are in 9th in the
Right.
Swiss League, which
Right. So in terms of
isn't very good considering they won it last year.
aye, in the Swiss league, apart from maybe one or two at the top, isn't great. I would say,
Yeah,
if I say that respectfully. So I think if we don't get a victory, I think I'd be pretty disappointed. And I never say that against Celtic in Europe because no European games are gimme. Young Bulls are what to come with a point to prove and get a good victory and take, if you want to call a scalp. But I'd imagine Celtic would probably go and win that game. I think you would probably need to because I'm actually going down to Villa myself and I think that would be a pretty tough game. I'm kind of hoping that it's one of the ones where you've no pressure and you can just go and like show English football that Celtic's a good team. There's good players up here. We can compete at that level against Aston Villa because let's be fair, Villa are a very good team. They've got some really good players. Obviously, the guy up front, Watkins and Duran, McGinn's there, guys like that. So Morgan Rogers. So they've got a very good team. So I think it's a wee safety net, as you say there, mate. I think get a victory in Young Boys and then still go to Aston Villa and still try and get a victory and put performance on. But you've got the comfort there that if you get a result, or I hope not, that you get a batter, and I hope not, but if you did, it's not a big deal because you're qualified. And so, I think a good result at home against Young Boys, I think we'd be disappointed as a fan base if we didn't. And then Aston Villa, I think that just takes care of itself. If you just put a good performance in and then see how you go.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are going to be back for some post-match videos after all the kind of Celtic games going forward with immediate reaction. Ryan, I want to thank you very much for joining me in the first episode of the New Year, mate. It's always a pleasure.
No problem, mate. Good chat, and thanks again. I'll keep in touch with you and hope we'll see you very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for always tuned in, and we'll see you for the next episode. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.